This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Time Warner Cable. WBTV News starts right now.
2 people shot and killed in East Charlotte. Now police are trying to track down the person or people responsible as we look at neighborhood crime. Good evening. I'm DRose in for Sharon Smith. Thank you for joining us tonight. First tonight, a look at the weather. It's been a week of suffocating heat, but today feels like a complete 180. We found local kids playing on Lake Norman, part of the Big Brothers, Big Sisters program. The question tonight, how long will the heat break continue? Meteorologist Scott Sumner is here to tell us the answer to that question. Scott.
All right, Derek, it's going to be a short break as we have some clouds around today, some cooler temperatures by about 20 degrees or so. So really it felt pretty nice out there. But again, the clouds and a few showers have been around. Now, yeah, that heat is going to be building. I'll talk about that coming up in my full forecast. Derek?
Scott, thank you. New at 6 tonight, Lancaster police are trying to figure out who's responsible for a deadly shooting. It happened early this morning in the 300 block of Rutledge Street. When police got there, they found 41-year-old David Scott Brazell. Medics tried to save him, but he died a few hours later. If you have information that can help with the investigation, call Lancaster PD. Now to East Charlotte today, a community rocked by a double homicide. A man and woman were found shot inside an SUV parked at the Four Seasons Apartments. That's just off Albemarle Road. The man died at the scene and the woman died on the way to the hospital. WBTV's Kay Johnson has this story, and she's been telling us that detectives have been working nonstop to track down the shooter or shooters. Folks there are saying they saw a black SUV leaving the scene headed toward Albemarle Road, and another man was running in the same direction. Residents reported hearing as many as 7 gunshots. Shattered glass marks the spot where the shooting happened just before 2:30 this morning. Now, when the Jeep was hauled away, you could see a tarp covering both the front windshield and the passenger side window. Police have not released the identities of the 2 victims. Residents tell us the man who was shot lived in the area, and they say he was a good man who took care of his family. Jerome Cannon says he ran out of his house when he heard the gunfire. He got to the Jeep, and he says it was still running. Cannon says he knew the man was dead, but says the woman was still gasping for breath. He says he held her hand until police and medics arrived. Now, Cannon says he's lived in the area for several months, and this is the first time he's seen anything like this.
It's pretty much quiet over here. I mean, the kids, they come out here, they play all the time. I mean, there's nothing really never going on over here. You know, police normally, they do their little ride-arounds around here.
If you have information on this shooting, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers. Now, from one shooting to another shooting. Sadly, though, this gunman is also still on the run. The victim in this case was a woman sitting in a car near Beatty's Ford Road. That's near Greer's Grove Road. She was shot in the neck. Officers say several groups of people were fighting after midnight when someone pulled out a gun, started shooting, and the woman got hit. She did make it through surgery and should survive. Police, though, have not released any information on the shooting. Now, it's not surprising to hear about a fight at a club, but this one ended with 6 people arrested, 1 man hit with a taser, and 2 police officers assaulted. Quite a night. Things got out of hand overnight at Club Luna uptown. Police say there were overcrowding issues, and when the club started turning people away, that's when the fights broke out. The scuffle spilled into a nearby parking lot, but everyone is okay. Over to Mint Hill now, where a local teacher is free on bond. Police say they arrested 28-year-old Kyle Doherty Thursday on 4 separate warrants with charges of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. A spokesperson for the Queens Grant School says Doherty was there for 1 year, and the charges are in connection with a 13-year-old female student. Specifics about those charges have not been released. New information tonight about a deadly motorcycle crash on North Tryon last night. The man charged with hitting a pedestrian has bonded out of jail. Police say JoJo Arnett was trying to turn into a parking lot when his truck hit a motorcycle. Investigators say Arnett failed to yield. 50-year-old Richard Williams died soon after that crash. Well, the family of a missing South Charlotte CEO is headed to Fiji. Don Nicholas vanished while surfing there. Nicholas runs the Revita Anti-Aging Center in South Charlotte, and you might remember his face because we interviewed him last February about a new weight loss treatment. He was in Fiji for the Life and Wealth Mastery Conference hosted by renowned life coach Tony Robbins. There's a picture of him right there. Investigators say they found Nicholas's surfboard, but still no sign of him. A teenager in our community has friends, family, and even complete strangers pulling for her recovery tonight. 18-year-old Kelly Blanton lives in Taylorsville. She was in Oklahoma for a rodeo competition this week when the horse she was riding bucked. Kelly took a bad fall and landed on her head. She's in the hospital and reportedly is paralyzed from the neck down. Her family, though, has been posting updates on her condition on the prayer chain for Kelly Blanton Facebook page. Now, here's a story about dogs and washing, and it's all for a good cause. Dogtopia raises money for CMPD canine units. The money helps provide each handler with a canine tactical field kit to give essential aid to those dogs if they're injured in the field. Last year's Dogtopia raised more than $1,400. This year, handlers also hope to buy GPS units and even collars for the canines. Still ahead on WBTV News, Harry Potter's opening weekend well underway, but it's already surpassed some lofty goals. And President Obama is standing firm against threats from China today as he sits down with one of the world's most well-known religious leaders. By this time tomorrow, Casey Anthony could be out of jail. Earlier this month, a Florida jury found her not guilty of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. But the pain of her 3-year incarceration and 2-month-long trial could be nothing compared to the firestorm facing her on the other side of the prison walls. Karen Brown has our continuing coverage tonight.
Anthony's attorneys say one thing is for certain: when she leaves here, she's going to need therapy after spending a majority of her time in isolation, 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. And according to the Orange County Sheriff's Department, once they drop her off at that undisclosed location, they're not going to provide her with security unless, of course, there is a verifiable threat.
After more than 1,000 days behind bars, acquitted murder suspect Casey Anthony will walk out of the Orange County Jail tomorrow a free woman.
Court will be in recess.
But that freedom comes with a price, being released into a population that still largely believes she's guilty of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. It's a problem even her attorneys acknowledge.
She can't be here. Look at these jackals out there, still out there, calling for her blood, threatening the jury, threatening the lawyers, threatening everybody.
Those safety concerns have turned the how and when of Casey's release into a closely guarded secret and spawned a flurry of rumors about what she'll do next, from plastic surgery plans to a hasty relocation to Texas. But Anthony's legal troubles are far from over. She faces defamation charges from Zenaida Gonzalez. Casey told police a woman of the same name kidnapped Kaylee. And the sheriff's office wants Casey to cover the cost of the investigation, since she was found guilty of lying to police, misleading them in their search. With interview offers ranging up to $1 million and cash donations from admirers flowing into her jailhouse bank account, Casey could decide to settle. Meanwhile, across town, crowds continue to gather at a memorial set up for the little girl whose death started it all.
That was Karen Brown reporting. Well, it's not just crowds trying to honor Kaylee in death. At least 16 states, including Florida and North Carolina, have proposed legislation that would have kept Casey behind bars. The bills, called Kaylee's Law, would make it a felony if parents don't report their children dead or missing within a certain time frame. Casey didn't report her daughter's disappearance for 31 days. Thousands of people have signed the petitions for those laws, including Casey's dad, George Anthony. Well, President Obama is meeting with the Dalai Lama this weekend, despite criticism from China. The private meeting is taking place at the White House. The two also met last year. The White House says the meeting underscores the president's support in protecting Tibet's culture and human rights. China considers the Dalai Lama a separatist leader and Tibet a breakaway province. Still to come on WBTV News, if you're looking for a way to green up your life, we've got a brand new option that could make it a lot easier. Scott.
Sure, we had a lot of clouds and some cool weather today, and we'll have once again some Sunday showers. No thunderstorms though, and the heat, well, that's going to return in full force. I'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit.